Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Zielinski, it seems to me you got just one problem. The judge disagreed with you.
Congressman, as I said, I'm not here to critique the judge's sentence. Mr.
Zielinski, you write a 13-page statement for your statement to this committee. You allege all kinds of politics. You go after the Justice Department, you go after Bill Barr, you go after the President. You file a sentencing memo on February 10th recommending 7 to 9 years. The very next day, your boss files a supplemental sentencing memo recommending 3 to 4 years. And 9 days later, Judge Berman Jackson picks the 3 to 4 year sentence. So the judge disagreed with you.
Congressman, I don't agree with the premise of your question on two levels. The first is the
tell me what in that fact pattern is wrong. Didn't Roger Stone get 40 months?
The supplemental memo, Congressman, did not recommend 3 to 4 years. It recommended a sentence of incarceration. The supplemental memo also mischaracterized other aspects of the guidelines.
Mr. Zielinski, I've looked at the supplemental memo, and it said 37 to 47 months. What was take away the enhancement, it said 37 to 47 months. Those were the numbers referenced in the memo, and Judge Berman Jackson picked 40 months. She didn't pick 7 to 9 years. Is that right?
She sentenced Mr. Stone to 40 months. That's correct.
And that's between 3 and 4 years. Exactly what was in the supplemental memo. Did you talk to Bill Barr about your concerns?
No, as I stated, I did not talk to the Attorney General.
You didn't talk to the Attorney. Did you talk to the DAG? Did you talk to the Deputy Attorney General?
Thank you.
I was not provided the opportunity.
Did you talk to Mr. Shea? Did you talk to the U.S. Attorney?
I requested to, but was not given a meeting.
So you didn't talk to any of the people who ultimately make these decisions, did you, Mr. Zielinski?
I requested to speak with the U.S. Attorney, but I
didn't ask you if you requested. I said, did you talk to him? You didn't talk to the Attorney General, didn't talk to the DAG, didn't talk to the U.S. Attorney. Who's the supervisor?
Which supervisor are you referring to?
I'm talking about the one you referenced about 6 times in your testimony. Page 2, it was told to me at the time by my supervisor in the U.S. Attorney's Office. You said, I was told that the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Timothy Shea, was receiving heavy pressure from the highest levels of the Department of Justice. Page 10 of your testimony, you say this, page 10, I was explicitly told that the motivation for changing the sentencing memo was political and because the U.S. Attorney was, quote, afraid of the President. Who told you?
Thank you for clarifying, Congressman. I just want to be sure that I get the right supervisor because there are a couple of supervisors.
Well, tell me all their names then.
That told me things. So the supervisor for the questions you're asking is the supervisor of the Fraud and Public Corruption section at the time in the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Who?
His name is J.P. Cooney.
All right. Who else?
At the time in the office, there was a first assistant, there was a criminal chief. They were all involved in these discussions, to my knowledge.
Did any of them talk to the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, or Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Who?
My understanding is they did.
Well, did it? Not understanding. Did they or didn't they?
Congressman, I can only tell you what I know. I can tell you from what I understand.
It sounds like you don't know much. It sounds like you heard stuff that you're now bringing to this committee as fact. So-and-so says to someone what they told someone else, and you bring that here as fact. Yet you didn't talk to the Attorney General, you didn't talk to the Deputy Attorney General, and didn't talk to the U.S. Attorney who made the decision. And oh, by the way, the judge sided with their supplemental memo, not the memo you signed.
Congressman, as I said, I don't agree with the premises of your question, and I'm happy to explain further involving sentencing. My understanding is that all of the people I mentioned, those supervisors, were all in meetings with acting U.S. Attorney Shea.
Well, I mean, this is as bad as the whole impeachment. The anonymous whistleblower who had no firsthand knowledge, was biased against the president, and who worked for Joe Biden. Now we have a so-called whistleblower with no firsthand knowledge, who didn't talk to any of the people who make the decision, and who's obviously biased against the Attorney General. It seems just as bad, just as lame as what we went through just a few months back. it seems to me, as others have pointed out, and I know my time is winding down, that the real politics here was in some of the investigations that took place prior. And when we have some time, I'd like to get into that as well, Mr. Chairman. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
Great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.